The attorney, Tshepo Thobane, representing accused number 1 to 4, distancing himself from a letter written by the Advocate Malesela Teffo. Teffo said he was reappointing himself as defence counsel for those 4 accused in the Meyiwa trial. Remember that dramatic walkout from the trial last month? Teffo said he was withdrawing. Now he says he's back. Our reporter, Mnisi, joins us now. Linda, good afternoon to you. You were in the room when he withdrew, when he took off his robes. He said he was withdrawing. Then he said last week he's coming back. To do that, the attorney needs to request him. What's the attorney saying?
Well, the attorney is distancing himself from that letter that we saw last week that goes as far as accusing the presiding judge of witchcraft. And it's quite interesting, when he spoke to him this morning, he called an impromptu briefing outside the court just before he entered, and he said at this point that letter had nothing to do with accused number 1 to 4. And he, as the instructing attorney, does not have any instructions to reappoint Advocate Malesela Teffo to the case. So as it stands, what happened on the day he withdrew from the matter is the status of Advocate Malesela Teffo in as far as this case is concerned. So the question then becomes, on whose behalf was he writing that letter last week? Because he claimed to have been representing accused number 1 to 4, making a list of demands, saying that they won't come to court today because if those demands are not met.
It's astonishing. So the attorney has his own press conference.
Yes, he has his own press conference, and I asked him about what exactly this means for him and Teffo in particular, and he said, well, they're fine, but it seems at that moment there aren't any, of course, issues that that are happening between the two of them personally, but in as far as this matter is concerned, they would have to, of course, differ in terms of where this letter stands. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
As it stands now, Advocate Teffo had withdrawn from the matter. You don't need a rocket scientist that is writing those letters on his own, because he withdraw from this matter officially in court. So it's not part of this matter as it stands now. Even myself, if I go inside the court now, I consult with clients. They tell me, Mr. Thobane, I think you must stop from here, up to here today. No more continue with the matter. I will stop. I will abide by the instructions. Not Advocate Teffo will tell me I must stop. Not the presiding officer or any officer will tell me to stop. Only the clients. The instructions that originate from the clients. As the court put it very clear, I have to say this because it's on record already, it's a public matter. The court says the matter doesn't belong to the officers. It belongs to the clients.
I've got to tell you, Linda, I've been around a little while, as Tembekile will remind me often, and I don't think I've ever seen an attorney having their own press conference about the advocate who's not actually there, because they're not actually part of the case. I've never seen that before. Malesela Teffo made this quite startling accusation in public about Judge Tshepo saying that he was working with a Sangoma to cause him to collapse. Has the judge said anything about that?
Well, the judge, responding to those accusations, in fact, going as far as saying that, at times he would be driving home and seeing, on the polls, the newspaper articles and the headlines, he would see information about this case that, surprises him. At times he would even wonder if this is the same case that he's a part of, and it says that he's receiving communications, a number of communications, particularly about what is happening in the case, and he says some of the communication even borders along the lines of faith. And he says what he knows is that he's got a physician, and that physician is Jesus. So at this point, obviously then, advocate, in fact, the attorney, instructing attorney, Tshepo Thobane, say, well, I'm not the one who wrote that letter. And he said, no, that's all I wanted from you. That's all I wanted to hear from you in terms of, your standpoint, because then it would be unfair to put it to you in terms of the communication that has been going around. So Judge Tshepo Thobane saying that he's got a physician, and that physician is Jesus. He speaks to him anywhere and everywhere, and he felt that it's something that he needed to talk to, especially because he runs an open court, and all of these things are playing out, of course, on the sidelines of what is happening in court.
So we've got I'm going to call it the Teffo issue, because, it's become about it.
Yeah.
That's not what the case is about at all. It's about accused number 1 to 5 and whether they're guilty of killing Senzo Meyiwa. And all this is doing is delaying justice for them. And I mean, poor accused number 5 has got nothing to do with this.
Absolutely, it's got nothing to do with this. And from now on, what we're anticipating then is that accused number 2 wishes to bring a bail application. So before trial resumes, it looks like we may go back to court for that bail application. You'll remember he does not have a previous conviction or has not been sentenced to any other crime, unlike his co-accused. So he would like bail. So, the instructing attorney was getting instructions around that particular bail and when exactly it could happen. But as things stand, it looks like trial will continue with Thobane appearing on behalf of accused number 1 to 4. Because here's what's interesting, Stephen. Thobane saying that it was an error that the judge made, postponed the matter to today for legal representation, because Thobane attorneys is on the record as having represented or representing the accused. And the judge saying that, in fact, you come as you please in court. You come and you go, and other days you're not here. So how was it an error? Because even when Advocate Malesela Teffo withdrew from the matter, he did not tell me about you continuing. So I was well within my rights to postpone the matter to today to allow for legal representation. Your conduct really, was not one of someone or an officer of the court who has to protect the rights of accused number 1 to 4. Because after Advocate Malesela Teffo, withdrew in an unceremonial way, there was no indication that you would be stepping in.
Mnisi, thank you very much indeed. So much to look through the law, a little bit of theology as well, it would appear.